Hello, fellow modelers. It's Bruce here. I want to thank you for once again stopping into my Jersey Highlands Railroad channel on YouTube. Today I want to have a little scenery topic discussion. I don't know what there is, about us that we're always experimenting with new techniques, but that's certainly true for me when it comes to scenery. A number of years ago, and I'm thinking now it's probably in the 2008 to 2010 time period, whenever you went to Michael's and if you went into the floral area, which if you're interested in scenery is probably likely that you do, they always used to have these, what they called pot toppers, 4-inch reversible pot topper. And it was for crafters who, work with floral arrangements and so forth. And if you had a clay pot, for your flower arrangement, and you wanted to put something on top of that pot before your flowers came out, they had these pot toppers. One side looked like grass, 3D, nice textured grass, and the other side looked like pretty much like dried leaves. So anyway, a number of us from the Railroad Line Forum who were interested in playing around with these things tried to figure out how we could use them in our scenery, because they are pretty thick. And we found out that you could pretty easily with your fingers separate the top green layer from the bottom leaf layer, and that cut the thickness in half, and then with your fingers, picking a lot of the filler that's between those two layers out, and then eventually getting down to the point where you took, your favorite sanding stick, otherwise known as a foam core nail file. You could file the backs of these down until you got something pretty thin, and you could use it in your scenery. Just after we, kind of perfected that technique and we're happy with it, it started getting harder and harder to find these in Michael's. And I haven't seen any in any of the Michael's stores or either around New Jersey or here in Michigan that have had these anymore. So, somewhat all of our work there was lost for a while. But I think I'll put a link to that Railroad Line thread that showed how we were using these pot toppers. In the meantime, still visiting the floral area of Michael's, they now have, just about any time you go in, these, it's 12-inch by 12-inch or 13-inch by 13-inch grass mats. And then, the crafters can cut this any size, shape, or form out of these things. They are pretty darn thick. And again, the question came down in my mind is, are these a replacement for the pot toppers? So that's what I want to show you right now. These are $20, but you always can get at least a 20% coupon off. And I was in one time, and I don't know what month of the year they do this, but they had a huge sale. I think it was 40% off everything in their floral department. And I stocked up with, buying about a half a dozen of these, which is going to give me one heck of a lot of grass turf to mix in with my other textures. So let's cut a piece off, because I'm not going to work with that whole size, and show you what I have come down to as to a technique to make these usable for us. So let me get this out of the way a minute. Now you can buy much thinner grass mats from just about every scenery manufacturer that's out there for the hobby. Certainly Woodland Scenics has grass mats, and Hecky has grass mats, and I'm sure other manufacturers do as well. And they also are probably in that $20 range. So you might just want to go get those. But half the fun for me is doing this kind of thing. Now you can see how thick this is, but you can also see how easy the back layer comes off. Once again, just like the pot topper, this part was easy. And if you wanted to, you could save this to be used for ground cover where you want it to look like dried leaves and so forth. And now you continue to tease the back by pulling off as much of the remaining filler, which comes off fairly easy. And I'm not worried if I break through to the front, because I'm not going to use this whole thing as a solid mat anyway. So let's, and you got another whole bunch off. And there's still more to be gotten here. So if we get as much off as we possibly can, because it'll make the next step quite a bit easier. Yeah, this almost looks like polyfiber, the fill here. It might very well be. Alright, so that's about it as far as how much I'm going to get off. It's still a little bit thick for most of my purposes. Might not be that thick in no scale and so forth, but the next thing I do is take a X-Acto knife with a number 11 blade and just start scraping sideways on that backing. And now stuff that I couldn't get off with my fingers is coming off, and it's getting thinner. And as I said, if you break through to the front, it's not the end of the world. So I'm going to probably intermix this with my ground foam and other textures that you put on. One thing is for sure, when you are working on scenery, multiple layers and multiple textures is your friend. You really want to do that. All right, you can do this as long as you want, getting it thinner and thinner. This is now getting pretty thin, usably thin, I would say. Here's a piece that I had done previously. There's all that backing. And again, I got it so you can see through it, but I'll probably take a piece like this off and insert that. Yeah, let me get a piece of cardboard so it stands out a little bit for you. You glue that down and bring some, diluted white glue around it and sprinkle some of your other forms. But this is nice 3D grass. It's not going to look like ground foam. It's going to look like grass. And mixed into your other scenery parts really is very effective. So yeah, if you want to give it a try, again, you go to Michael's or probably Hobby Lobby and Joann's Fabrics. They probably all have something similar in their floral area. And give it a try. But go with your coupon. Don't pay full price. That's just silly. But and all these kinds of things that came off of that goes into a little container that I have for different landscape textures, and they get used. So there you have it. It's just another way that you can get another texture into your scenery. All right, what I'll do is at the end of this video, I'll show you me starting to use this on the layout. All right, talk to you soon. As always, I would really appreciate it that if you enjoyed the video, you give it a like. And if you have not already, please subscribe to the channel. The only way my videos will pop higher up on YouTube search list is if I can get my viewers to give me comments, likes, and subscribe. All right, talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you soon.
So, tell the truth. When you just saw those photos of my first attempt at using parts of this mat in my scenery, did you think, boy, that looks pretty good? I know I did. So yeah, that's how I'm going to use pieces of this mat moving forward. I'm going to think of them more as a source for grass tufts rather than a blanket of grass. Quite frankly, unless you have a small pasture or something, a full blanket of the same grass gets pretty boring. It's the change in texture, change in colors, multiple layers. Those are the things that make a scene interesting as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I can see a lot of potential for this. In terms of tufts, you know what the alternative is. You can buy these sheets of tufts, very small tufts, and you pick them off with the tweezers one at a time, and I think they're up to around $12, $13 now for 100 or so tufts. Some of them come in this kind of packaging, individual tufts. They're great. I like using them. But when you're doing a big scene, you know, $12 or whatever for 100, how many hundreds of tufts do you think I can get out of a 12 by 12 sheet of this grass matting? Quite a few. And that's what I will be doing moving forward. So thanks for sticking with this. And as I said earlier, as always, I would appreciate it if you gave the video a like. And remember, never pay full price for anything at Michael's. Go in with your, at least, minimally, a 20% coupon. If you don't get them in the mail, you can just go online and get them. All right, talk to you again soon.